very good. So now you can hear me. I hope so. Let me check. Okay. Yeah, so this is the first time I'm doing this, and it's there are a lot of technical things around me, and some things will go wrong. Anyway, welcome to this fourth Psych-IT meeting. It's going to be a promising one. It's all about designing media for human nature, and yeah, we have two very interesting speakers. But first, for those of you who are new to Psych-IT, a special welcome. Psych-IT is a community that we started 2 years ago or something, and it's all about bringing psychologists and technologists together, or people from social sciences and people who create the newest and coolest technologies. And we want to do this because technology is developing very fast, of course, and the impact on our psyche, on our well-being, the way we are connected to each other, and the way we are talking, the impact of new technology is getting bigger and bigger on that. And so we wanted to have a conversation with everyone to guide these developments in desirable directions. So this is also a call to action to you during this hour, because we have two very interesting speakers, but we together we make this hour worth it, or maybe not. So pose or write your questions in the chat, talk to each other, give feedback, critical notes, share some inspirational cases or whatever. I will be watching the chat and pass your questions through to the speakers. And yeah, with further ado, let's go to the speakers, because we have some beautiful people for you. We have Menno van Doorn, my boss, colleague, friend, and he's going to talk about Menno. Let me check. Okay. They can't hear you. Oh wow. Menno is niet hoorbaar. Okay, that's not good. And now, 3, 2, 1. They can hear you, I think.
You did something magic.
Yeah, it's like.
Let's see what people are saying in the comments.
Yeah, I can.
Whether we have a feedback.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, chat.
Hello, everyone. Great. So your question was, Thijs.
Yeah, you are here, and you are going to talk about
designing for human nature, of course.
Okay. And what will be your perspective?
I thought we should start with perception. I have a background in advertising science, so perception for me has always been quite something, I think, for everyone. But if you want to talk about human nature, we cannot definitely not ignore how we perceive the world.
Okay.
And synthetic media.
Oh yeah, that as well. Okay. Curious to that, I will be interviewing you, and Ruud will be interviewing Mari.
That's right.
Ruud, you are also with us with Psych-IT from the beginning.
I am, because I'm educated as a social scientist who made his change to IT, but still has the connection to the social sciences and especially psychology. And therefore, I would like to hear from Mari all sorts of things about how we can make IT work as best as we can for both humans and our environment.
Okay.
Well, I'm very happy to be here and to share my perspective as an industrial designer designing for the Internet of Things. And I will save that for my talk. I'll talk further about it when my turn comes.
Okay, cool. I think everybody can hear all of you. I'm not seeing any remarks. Okay, then we will go to the first part, and after 20 minutes or so we will do a switcheroo and then come back to Marie and Ruud. So, Menno.
Yeah.
Let's kick it off, because designing for human nature, in a way I was thinking we are already doing that quite well, because if I show this slide you made, if I see these pictures on the right, I'm thinking, well, that's in a way that's triggering me, but I don't know what is it in me that is triggering me so much. Do you?
Yeah, you can take, maybe you can take two sides. Why the left part is not triggering you?
Yeah, the boring office.
It's the most boring office you can imagine. The cubicles. It's the human animal farm, and I think we definitely are not designed for that. And I think the human nature is in essence playful. We are homo ludens, and I think we can. I've got something about that at the end of this conversation. But on the right, there's just some Instagram pictures that you can see, which are full of stimuli. And perception starts with stimuli, so where your eyes get attracted to. So what do you see when you watch this, Thijs? What do you experience?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of colors.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in a way of youth. I don't know why. Yeah, maybe because of the ice cream. And I'm seeing faces. I'm seeing very dark lips. Maybe.
Yeah. You see eyes, hips, smooth skin, birds, a fish in the top. Cats actually are stimuli, colors, all these kind of things are grabbing our attention. And without attention, you can't design anything.
Yeah.
Because then people will not notice.
You are designing. You can design it, but nobody will watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is about stimuli, and then there's another form of stimuli, a special class of stimuli, which are called supernormal stimuli. And I've got one example to explain how it works and what the importance of supernormal stimuli is.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you brought this beetle with you.
Yeah, this is about the research done by David Rance and Daryl Gwynn, who coincidentally, when they did research in Australia, watched this beetle on a beer bottle. You see a beer bottle, it's called a stubby. Okay. And in fact, what you see here is a supernormal stimuli, because the beetle thinks that the bottle is a female beetle. Now, normally the female beetle is a somewhat larger, bigger than the male beetle, but this is beyond big. I mean, this is super normal big. Yeah. So what happens, because they think it's a female, they want to mate with a beer bottle. And this phenomenon is called by Nobel Prize winner and biologist Nico Steenbergen.
A Dutch guy.
Sorry?
A Dutch guy.
Yes, Dutch guy, coincidentally. A supernormal stimuli, when you choose the artificial over the real, which is what this animal is doing. And my point is that we, in a sense, humans are also beetles, because we are attracted to supernormal stimuli without consciously knowing. But then we choose for this. Well, maybe if you're in this boring office, you just grab your phone and you want to go to this world of stimuli instead of being in your boring world without any stimuli. So somehow we are constantly attracted to stimuli for a good reason, I would say, because that's an evolutionary given. Because we want to survive, we want to create offspring, we want to have to live longer.
Yeah.
And therefore, from all the things that you perceive when you are in your room, maybe it's not a boring room that I showed you, you need to decide what to pay attention for, because there's billions of data, petadata, and we can only see maybe 16 bits, let's say, your brain. Okay. And that's the reason why we constantly are looking for colors, for signals of youth or whatever, to draw our attention to.
And how many of the times does that happen unconsciously, and how much of it happens consciously?
I don't know percentage, but I would say 100% unconsciously. I don't know, but 80 or 90. I think most of the things we perceive is attracts our attention is unconscious behavior. So, and I think one of the intriguing questions for me when you talk designing by human nature is: do we design for keeping people in the bubble or out the bubble? And I created various forms of bubbles in a picture that you can show, where you can see in the middle the example that we talked about, the reality bubble defined by fitness points. So the fitness points are the stimuli that we talked about. So we're constantly looking for things that can help us survive, or perhaps find a mate in order to create offspring. So the first bubble, so to say, is in our own perception system. And then, of course, we have the filter bubble, because we are constantly on Facebook or whatever social media, but our own filter bubble is also created by the friends that we have and that influence us. And the last one is the tribe that we're all in. I think we know from research that our human brain is only capable for coping with 150 people. It's called the Dunbar maximum. But the world around us is so complex. So we are living in an extreme complex world, hyper-connected and full of media these days, where our brain can only cope with 150 people in a little village at the countryside. So there you have the problem. And so on the one hand, I provoke people by saying you should design for human nature, know about what cognitive science can learn us about stimuli and supernormal stimuli. But on the other hand, the question is it good that we are in our bubble? And in which bubble are we? And how to deal with that?
And how crowded is the bubble? How many LinkedIn connections do you have? More than 150?
Yes, of course. I don't know, 3,000 something. I need to look. I don't know all these people, of course. But it's not only LinkedIn, it's not only social media, it's the complexity. There's all the things happening you see from the media. It's happening in the US, what's happening in India, what's happening everywhere. It's just too big. It's just too big. And there we have our perception system picking and choosing based on our evolutionary self.
So we have created an environment that is actually too complex for us as human beings.
Yes. By the way, we should celebrate that, because the complex world also delivered toilet paper and washing machines. So it's not very that. Nice. It's very nice. On the other hand, there's a risk that we actually are killing the planet. So there's all kinds of paradoxes that we have to deal with, I would say.
Yeah, I'm still getting stalked that my sound is too low.
Okay.
I
and what
idea how I can turn it up, so I'm sorry for you guys, but I don't know how to fix this.
Maybe shouting.
Maybe shout, yeah. I can try it like this. Maybe this is better. Okay, and let's go to the next slide, because this is about memes, about how people are using all these insights to create supernormal stimuli.
I just wanted to give some examples of proof why these stimuli is working in social media. Memes are actually, the very popular things that you share on WhatsApp and all this kind of. So when you look at these pictures, then you see you see people, you see faces, you see two children. The picture simulates movement. We are extremely focused on things moving.
Yeah.
You see a cat and a gun. Now the prediction is from research that you are more focused on the cat than on the gun, although a gun is more dangerous for us. But from evolution, everything that moves gets our attention, especially animals, because it can kill you. Famous people like Freddie Mercury, the joke upside that you see on the right side. All these kind of things are stimuli, and this is why our attention is grabbed, and we are for a moment not working but just having fun.
So this is really hardwired, I guess, because I'm also thinking about cats. If you put a cucumber behind them, and they see it, they will jump like 2 meters high because I think they think it's a snake or something. So
Exactly.
this
Yeah, I
skips
think
some of the cognitive processes that analyzes what you're seeing, and it goes directly into instinctive behavior.
yeah. If people don't know what you're talking about now, Thijs, just Google cat and cucumber and video, and have some fun.
Maybe somebody can share a link in the chat. And,
Yeah.
and please let me know if the sound is better. I see Omara says it's good now. Okay. Okay, so memes. And memes
Yeah,
are
memes.
getting...
Memes, there are many forms of memes. I would like to show you one in a video. Maybe you could show the video.
Yeah, this is a very nice video. You have done some nice video editing. I will show it in big. So
shall I explain first, or a few words?
Sure, yeah, okay.
This is Bella Port. She is on TikTok since April. People who are on TikTok definitely know her. She is singing M to the B, which became a meme. But the real question is, why does this girl have 30 million followers and M to the B 34 million likes? Now, maybe we should just first look at it and then discuss how stimuli work.
Yeah.
The B, it's M to 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 the B.
New challenge. Express your feelings with eyes only. Ready.
You're right, Lise, you shouldn't go. It wouldn't be
Happy.
honest. I'll go.
Angry.
What if he wants to hold
Sad.
hands? I'm prepared to make that sacrifice.
Confused.
What if he wants a kiss? I'm
New
prepared to make that
challenge.
sacrifice.
Express your
You don't wanna
feelings
know
with
how
eyes
it is.
only.
You're right, Lise,
Ready.
you shouldn't go.
Go.
It wouldn't be honest.
Happy.
I'll go, disguised as you.
Angry.
Okay. Very nice.
Nice song, isn't it? By the way, this is also the stimuli, the sound.
Yeah.
It gets into your head.
It's really catchy.
So there's research. So what the research is saying, this is because of the limbal ring of the eye. Now, I not want to talk for minutes about limbal rings of eyes. The only point I want to make is that it goes subconsciously. So the limbal ring is the outer ring of the eye, and the thicker the ring, the more it expresses youth. The more it expresses youth, the more the attention you give to what you see.
It's a black circle around the iris, right?
Exactly. And there's a couple of more things in the face, like skin, or how big the eyes are, or how the contrast in the eye, and all these kind of things, and emotional expression, what you can see, which is all around the place on TikTok. You constantly see people showing off their emotions, and people are triggered to emotions.
Yeah. How big are your limbal rings?
Not big anymore, because they say it goes, when you're young they're big, and when you're old they're not very big. So, and I'm old, so.
But Zoom, the video conferencing tool, they now have a button that you can press, and then your wrinkles get flattened out and your lips get a little bit redder. So maybe if it gets more advanced, your limbal rings will become a little bit bigger.
Exactly, and we are not joking here. I think it actually will be a feature in either Zoom or any other platform.
Yeah.
To use this kind of stimuli, and I would actually advise to anyone older than, let's say, 35, 40, to use these kind of filters.
35. Then I have still 2 years to go.
You could wear a wig or something.
Why a wig? What's wrong with my hair? Are you?
Well,
are you
thicker hair is also a stimulus, Thijs. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
But you grow a beard, maybe that compensates.
Yeah, but I also find it crazy with Snapchat. Like they have all the filters, but even without the filters, I see that they are already having some beautifying filters as a standard. So I always look more beautiful when I open the Snapchat app and I look at myself.
Yes.
So
yeah. Well, that's really because we are talking about a combination of perception and synthetic media. So this is also an example of synthetic media, but there's an explosion of apps that you can use, and they're not cheap. You pay $25 a month, for instance, where you can change yourself, making yourself more beautiful, or create effects for creating attention.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide.
Oh yeah, but this is just fun. We can just show it and skip it away. This is only making the point that our perception, we are not seeing the truth. This is a picture I got from Donald Hoffman. He's a cognitive scientist. I interviewed him, who wrote a fascinating book, The Case Against Reality. And one of the things that he explains is we can't perceive reality. So in the first place, because, let's talk about the head, sorry. So you see two colors and two arrows pointed to the colors. And the question is, are these the same colors? So the front and the side one, you see is very small arrow. And the answer of the question is yes. These are the same colors, although the front one looks a little yellow, more yellow. Yeah. Well, this is a clumsy, I did a very clumsy keynote, how do you call it?
Yeah,
Edit. Now you can see through your eyes that these actually are the real colors. But
they are the same color, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and the point of synthetic media, if you can show a little Michela that I already saw on the slide, is that we can create from our computer any world that we desire or would like to desire. So this is little Michela, who is a computer-generated influencer, and she plays in movies that she makes. She's walking around the streets next to real people, and you can also see she's got a healthy skin, big eyes. She's kissing the girl there. So there's all these kind of things that draw your attention. Yeah. She's got 2.7 million followers. And
I think if I hit the next button, she's also talking about blurring the lines between what's fake and real.
Yeah, she's playing with that. Although she admits she's not real, but sometimes, I mean, this is a new world for all of us.
Yeah.
And it's coming closer. So the Postillon Hotel has launched her or his, I think this is the CEO, Esther Olofsson. She's from Sweden, but this girl is not real. She's computer generated. And one of the things, so when you talk about designing for human nature, is the storytelling part. And what little Michela is doing and what Esther will be doing, I haven't seen a lot of her yet, but create stories. So how she lives, how her day looks, just like a normal influencer, and then involves the brand, and in this case the Postillon, because in essence we are storytellers, and stories are the way we connect to other people, and also how we digest information the best.
Yeah. I see Xiomara ask what her name was. Can you repeat that?
Esther Olofsson. She's from Sweden, and I don't understand why she's got black hair, because I thought everyone in Sweden has got blonde hair, but probably it's designed also. This idea is designed.
Yeah, she looks a little bit like Michela.
Yes, maybe she's family. I don't know.
We need to make a little bit we have 6 more minutes.
Well, okay, I think I've got one more example, and for me it's a very important example.
Okay.
But it needs a little bit of introduction.
Okay.
Which is about Dopsy Rules, a YouTuber, and maybe you can show. Oh, we're not showing the video. I would like to introduce a video. When you talk about synthetic media and all the things you can change, people immediately start about deepfakes, and that deepfakes will ruin the world. There will be an infocalypse, and you don't know what's true anymore, etc., etc. But I would like to talk a little bit about the playful nature of people. So 99% of the deepfakes are just fun. And when you go to TikTok or any other social media, there's a lot of people playing with deepfakes. Now, what you're going to see is a video of 40 seconds. And again, I apologize for the confusion it will create. But this is a video about a meme of a song called Baka Matai. That is a song played in a game, a Japanese game, if you can still follow me. in a karaoke bar. So the first part of the video will be a guy singing this melodramatic song in a game. Then you see Dopsy Rules in his hotel room a couple of years ago singing the same song. It became a meme. And then you will see deepfakes from rulers of the world in the First World War. I promise you it will be confusing, and then we go back to Dopsy Rules. But let's watch the video, create some confusion, and have a final discussion, Thijs.
Okay. Okay, yeah, it's playing with no music. Okay. And we are back. Sorry guys. Can you mention the name again, Menno? Then people can look it up. They can share the link maybe.
Okay, Google on Baka Mitai. I will promise you this song will be in your head for at least a couple of days. And Dopsy Rules. So these two words will get you to the video. And I'm not sorry that I brought it up because it was already a confusing story.
Oh, Una van Hoof says this was really confusing.
Yeah, well,
They
you're
were
right.
watching a movie that wasn't playing.
The movie that wasn't played, so the point that I would like to make is that there is a very vivid community of creating funny deepfakes.
Wait. Yeah, funny deepfakes. And because there's a big community indeed that's growing, but I discovered something, and let me show you this.
I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped a wax machine with a pulse? I don't mean disrespect, okay? I respect you. We happy.
With John Travolta, and you've created this yourself.
Yes. I'm now curious why this video actually works and the other one doesn't. But
yeah, I don't know. I will play it.
But this is all about the playful nature of people. So in essence, we all want to play. We want to play with information. That's why we go to TikTok and all the other social media. And that's in essence okay. That's good because we need to play with information. We need to show ourselves. We need to bond with other people by making a fool out of ourselves. All these kind of things that it is what people actually do. And because we are, as you know, Thijs, we are doing research on synthetic media, and there's a very negative sentiment on all of this. But I'm actually more optimistic. I think that this kind of media will, and combined with human nature, will create a lot of new industries, a lot of more fun, a lot of more engagement. And of course, there's a flip side of more dangerous deepfakes, but that's a different story.
Yeah, it goes both ways, but at the moment it's mostly about the negative impact of deepfakes. Let me have a look if there are questions, and otherwise we will go.
I saw the music I was mentioning, Baka Mitai.
Oh yeah.
Or Dame Dane. Dame Dane. That's also a word you can Google.
I'm seeing
and deepfakes.
And I'm seeing Mataf Raikumar ask if you can explain the cognitive rings you were mentioning. And I'm doubting if he means the visual or the limbal rings.
The bubble probably. I hope. No, I'm not sure. Yeah. This one.
I think, or not.
Well, I think so. Let's assume
it was mentioning. Sorry. Yes.
Is it about this one, Thijs? Do you think, or
is it about this one, Mataf? There's a 7 seconds delay. He's saying yes is the last thing he said. Yes, this one. Okay, can you explain this one once more?
So this bubble thing that we talk about is so normally we only talk about the filter bubble, and when we kill the filter bubble, everything is okay. When we stop watching Facebook, everything is okay. So the point here is that there are more bubbles for a good reason that we are in, and I think maybe it's a nice question for your next guest to answer. So should we design for those bubbles? Should we design for people wanting to stay in their bubble on their tribe, or put stimuli in the face and create more a bigger fitness bubble? Or should we get people out of their bubble? And the rings that you see here are, so there are several. The outer ring is the limitations, the limitation of 150 that people can cope with, and we are living in a world dealing with over complexity, too much information, etc., etc. So I think designers can help us to make the world at least less complex. I think that's one of the main qualities of a good design, to get the rubbish out. But then again, designers always also make a choice. So if a designer curates reality, I'm curating reality because I can only see the stimuli, but a designer also curates, like a newspaper, and could get me out of the bubble. But again, that could be an interesting question for the next discussion, the next speaker.
Yeah, that's interesting. The designer as a guard, keeper of reality or something. Okay.
Yeah, even more than a guard keeper. Maybe, yeah.
Well, let's pass that easy question to Mari and Ruud. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Actually, I've written 2 other questions I distilled from Menno's speech to ask to Marie. So she'll be rather busy answering questions instead of giving her own, lecture performance, what we call it. So I would like to postpone the answering of the questions of Menno to a later part in the program from Marie, because I think she's given an answer to the question as well in her regular theme. I would like to introduce Marie first, because she's stated here she is an industrial designer, even a senior industrial designer, but I've been told she's also quite a keen nature preserver. She's trying to design things to help us to preserve nature. That makes it quite interesting and quite difficult, I'd say, to make the right decisions. To give it a start, I would like to point her to a thing Simon Sinek mentioned. He says, whenever you design a thing, you should use some steps to get to the right designing point. To start first, you're asking the question, why do I do things? Then ask the question, how can I do it? And after that, you easily answer the question, what do I need? And I think that's is an easy bridge to your show, I would even say.
True. We do need to think why we are designing things in the first place. And it all comes down to designing for someone that has a specific need or a specific problem that needs to be solved by design. So design doesn't happen just because there's a need for a product or just because someone wants to design a product, but most importantly, what problem will this product that is going to be designed is going to be solving, and for whom, and for what environment. So it's very important to consider that why before what it is and how you're going to do it. You need to see why you are doing it.
And it also, well, leads us, I think, to the first slide of your presentation.
To use tools. Okay. Okay. So I will repeat. So basically what I mentioned is that what is very peculiar about human and human nature is that we're able to use tools and objects to shape our surroundings or to solve specific needs. So we've been doing that over the course of our evolution. And these tools are shaping our environment and also shaping the way that we are interacting with it, and ultimately shaping behaviors. So in my next slide, I want to show that man has evolved their tools over the course of time. And an industrial designer, the profession of the industrial designer is to create these new products and tools. So right now, and then while doing that, while shaping these products and designing them, we are also shaping our environment in the way that we are interacting with the tools we're designing, but also the way that we are interacting with each other. Can you go to the next slide, please? One thing that is really interesting about the times that we're living is that we have something called the Internet of Things. So we're not only interacting with the internet in our traditional devices, such as our phones and our computers, but the Internet of Things allows us to put internet in other objects. So we can build smart homes, we can build smart environments with sensors that are able to collect data, depending on what they're programmed to do. And that could be very useful because it can help us save energy, for example. If we think about the Google Nest, it's a thermostat that is smart and it's connected to the internet. And it allows us to manage our consumption of energy and to have that data visualization of how much energy we are using so we can do something about it. So the beautiful thing about the Internet of Things is that we're giving objects that before did not have a voice, we're giving them a voice, and we're able to expand our ways of interacting with our environment. So that's really
here
cool.
Here we have the first connection to the things Menno said about technology helping us to influence our environment.
Yes. And design and engineering can be, when we're thinking about what we're designing, we can be shaping these environments according to the way we design or the decisions we make during the process of creating these objects.
Mm-hmm.
So next slide, please. So this is just a graph that is showing that we can think of the environment, we can think of products, and there's like a fine line. You could think of them separately, but the Internet of Things connects these two things. So it connects the products to the environment, and the line between them starts to be blended. It starts to be more integrated. Next. Okay, because I have okay, nice. So I brought this slide just as a quick overview of what the design thinking process and what that actually means. So in design school, or when you're studying design, you're basically studying human behavior. You're trying to empathize with a specific problem, with a specific need that you might be trying to solve through design. So the design process is non-linear. You can come back to this phase of empathizing at every stage. But basically, we follow the path of empathizing with the problem, defining what part of the problem we're going to be solving, and then we start to create, we start to ideate. But we have something in mind. We're not designing just because. The process also involves a lot of prototyping and testing with actual users. So there's a lot of empathy happening in that process as well, before the product is actually implemented. So in a nutshell, that's the design thinking process of like empathizing and then creating specifically for that target user, their target problem. And that's why I want to show you guys practical examples of how design thinking and the Internet of Things could be used to solve different briefs, different project briefs. So I have 3 of them to show. I think the next slide already starts with the first one. Nice. So these projects that I'm going to be sharing today, they were developed during my master's at Rochester Institute of Technology. I did my master's in industrial design. And at the time, I was introduced to the subject of the Internet of Things, but also introduced to the subject of human empathy and understanding that we have different needs, we have different abilities, and we need to consider that while designing. So in collaboration with Alsego agencies, Alsego is a branch of agencies in Rochester, New York, that is providing services for people with disabilities. And I was put in the focus group focused on children, for this project specifically children with low motor skills. Being that our project brief was how can we design a toy that can teach children cause and effect when they're actually not able to fully manipulate the toys that are placed in front of them. So in this case, this is an adaptive button. Basically, this button is a switch that is connected then to the toy, so the child with low motor skills could tap the button instead of manipulating the toy. During this process, we thought, oh, the cause and effect teaching of this type of play is disconnected. So I tap on this button and something somewhere else is happening. So that was the full scope of our project. How can we make this experience a little bit better? So through play, children can learn cause and effect. So in my next slide, I will just show you the solution that we found after many years of research and development. One of the results of this study was, we call this the band toy. And the reason we chose band and instruments as a theme is that we spent so many hours in the institutions observing play, observing how therapists are interacting with kids, and that many times they are learning through play and they're learning through music therapy. So we thought, oh, let's design a music instrument that can, instead of the child having to reach to the toy would be adapted to the child's body. So on the next slide, you will see that instead of trying to separate play, we try to connect it to the user's body. So this device is able to connect to your hand, and then through the Internet of Things, through sensors, we were able to create stimulation. So this device was emitting lights, sounds, and haptic feedback. As you can see in this image, this toy could be adapted to different user scenarios. So it could be attached to your hand, could also be attached to your chair, or anywhere else where it makes sense, depending on who's using. So I bring this sentence again, that designing media for human nature means being empathetic, like understanding who you're designing for, and then trying to find ways to solve that specific subject. So in the next slide, I would like to show that the Internet of Things is also something really present in these projects, because we were able to use this connectivity not only to tailor different playtimes, different songs, different light patterns, but also adapted to each user. So if, let's say, Timmy is playing with the band toy, then there's specific settings that Timmy likes more. For example, Timmy might be sensitive to sounds, so we take the sound down. But Timmy really likes light in the color pink and blue, so you can tailor that. So it's an example of how we could use the Internet of Things to adapt to different needs. So that was example number 1. On the next slide. So in this case, I'm just going to go, this is just a brief, like very, very brief overview of these projects. There's a lot more to talk about, but I bring this as an example of how we don't necessarily only need to design physical objects, but we can also think about how the Internet of Things could be applied to our environment itself. And in this case, this project is called Moonpads, also with the same agencies, with the same research labs at RIT. Our project brief this time was, how can we design for easily distracted kids? How can we guide them going from one place to the next? So it was all about the environment. And what we came up with, and the next slide you will see, is the system of colorful tactile pads, again, connected to the Internet of Things. These pads all had, they were communicating between each other with wireless connections and then emitting lights, sounds, and vibration patterns to stimulate the user's senses and to augment that interaction. So that was the solution we found for that specific project brief. On the next slide, you will see also, I just brought this to show that the technology that is inside these devices are technologies that are readily available, and then they're just constructed in a way to fit that specific design or that specific need. On the next slide, it also shows, again, same with the band toy, this product, since it has sensors and it is communicating with a tablet or a software, it can collect data that could be analyzed for therapy. You can analyze how children are interacting with the proposed activities. This project is all open source and is still in development at Rochester Institute of Technology. And if someone wants to know more about it, I'd be happy to talk more in depth.
The funny thing about this project is that it sort of contradicts the studies they did in the 1980s, where Cruikshank thought or even proved that the children with specific needs caused by their, well, what they called at that time NBD, and it's called this time, for today it's called ADHD, the children with special attention disorders. They should be kept in sort of white boxes away from all stimuli, and you're giving them special stimuli.
Yes, actually, what we learned this through observations, that they were already using tactile toys. They were already using things that they could fidget with or like play with their senses. So I think that it all comes down to personalization. What works for one person doesn't work for the other, and it's about understanding. And that's why during the entire development process of these projects, we had to keep in mind this might work for one person, but not for the other. So that's why the Internet of Things is in handy, because we are able to calibrate. So that was like the beautiful part about that.
So you can answer the specific needs of every individual person.
Exactly. And also like track data on that to see if it's going well or if it needs to be changed over time.
Okay.
And then last but not least, I will also talk very briefly. Oh, this is just a picture that shows the actual product. It's being used at Alsego agencies. The version that's being used right now does not have the technology, that is still in development, but we're using the tactile pads. This project also traveled all over the world and went to the Global Grad Show in Dubai in 2018, where we got a lot of positive feedback on these tactile objects.
Okay. Then, on your own website, you've shown us, or you're showing some other nice things. one which intrigues me is the breathe buddies. Can you tell something about that?
Yes. So in parallel to the development of all of these products, we had a startup project, which was Breathe Buddies, and we were trying to show people the importance of mindfulness and paying attention to your body, to your breathing. And we developed this tactile device that would guide users into breathing exercises. And basically that is showing that technology, even though it's like a separate thing, it can also be talking about something that is happening internally. And we can even enhance this even more with sensors that are capturing your vital signs, for example. If it's detecting that you are stressed, it might recommend specific exercises. So there are like endless possibilities. In fact, this project started in 2015, 5 years ago. And now we are very happy to be launching in the near future a digital version of it. So I can share more about that when the time comes.
Yeah, well, maybe if someone is interested, he can look it up on your page and get in contact.
So a lot of different research happened at that time, but the most important ones were the ones in person. So we spent many hours, like over 20 hours, 30 hours inside the institutions, observing therapy time, talking to therapists, and trying to identify design insights there. So it was through actual observations, talking to therapists, as well as doing research on traditional methods of research, just going into books, going into the internet, watching different types of videos, and trying to immerse as much as possible in that specific subject.
Okay. Well, maybe we can try to give Menno a specific answer on his question. Should we use our technology to assist people to get out of their bubble, or should we assist them to stay inside their bubble? What's your opinion about that?
My opinion is that it depends, again, on who you're designing for. So if that specific user that you're designing needs to be in the bubble, then I would say design for the bubble. But if that specific user needs to somehow understand that there's more, then you do that. So I'd say there's no one answer. I don't have one answer to that. I would say understand specifically the entire scenario surrounding that, what you're designing for and who you're designing for and where.
So we can use technique in both ways.
I'd say so. Depends on your end goal.
Now, maybe Menno can say if it's a sufficient answer to his question, or
The short answer is no. No, I'm just kidding. I understand what you're saying, but I think the current, I mean, everybody's talking about diversity and the whole world is, when you look at the world nowadays, everyone is in his or her own camp, which is another way to look at bubbles, so to say. So I think there's a tremendous need for designing people out of the bubble, having people from with different ideas talking to each other, these kind of things, in creating a better world. So I think there's a very positive way that designers can contribute to this. And I can also understand when you say, okay, it depends. If it's just a small thing, it doesn't matter. But I think it's a big thing. So the bubble is a big thing. People are deleting other people, and I'm, so in a way I'm a pessimist, because when you look at how we perceive the world, the fact that we are from evolution focused on our own survival and our own offspring, and 150 is the max, and the world is too complex. So we need to take all the effort to get people out of the bubble and become better humans, but probably better humans than our brain can cope with. I think that's well. I think that's where the designer steps in, because I think when you design, the question is.
So yeah, can you repeat the question, because I was on the wrong mic. So I was saying, how can we make it attractive to get out of your bubble, because getting out of your bubble also means getting out of your comfort zone, and nobody likes that initially.
My answer was that designers know how to do that, because you can create positive nudges. I don't think it's easy, by the way, but if someone can do it, a designer can do it, I would say.
I would say I think that designers definitely have the ability to do so. And I would say again that it depends on who you're trying to take the bubble from, because the nudges that you can design for different audiences is going to work differently. So you got to understand who is perceiving that information, and then you design accordingly. So if I'm designing for my parents, or if I'm designing for my sister, which is a different generation, I might be using different elements and different attention catching elements in order to do so. So it's easier to design for a specific. The more you're specific about what you're designing, the better you can solve that problem or that specific project that you're doing. So what I think needs to happen is that many projects are happening at the same time in order to accomplish like a bigger bubble popping.
I like maybe you've seen it, Mariana, it was in the Volkskrant a couple of weeks ago, and I signed up. They asked, do you want to be in a conversation and meet someone with a totally different opinion? And you got a questionnaire for maybe 10 questions. And one day, soon, I will get a message from the Volkskrant telling me that this person I'm going to meet, and I'm quite sure that this person has a totally different idea about things in what's happening in the world. I like this idea. I'm not sure whether I will like it after the talk that we had, but I mean, if we don't speak with each other anymore from different backgrounds, if we keep in our bubble, I think it will not go well with the world. This is how World War starts. So we need to design infrastructures, information infrastructures, whatever, to get people out of the bubble and talk to each other with different opinions.
Okay, this is the right mic, sorry. So I was saying it's 1 minute before 8, and what Menno was saying was, I think, a beautiful ending of today. Bringing people together from different kinds of bubbles. I liked the bubble popping from Marie. I think we will use that in our research report, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
And this is what we are also trying to do with Psych-IT. It's really bringing psychologists together with technologists. And yeah, I love this hour. It was a bit crazy to do, to organize, but I'm really thankful that you both, the three of you and everyone watching, took the time to have this conversation. And yeah, let's continue this. The next time we've already a very interesting speaker. I saw she was also in the chat, Xiomara, and she will be talking together with somebody else about virtual reality in youth services. So in Dutch, in the jeugdzorg. How can you use that to create experiences so people can relive trauma, for example, or think about the consequences of their actions? So that's going to be very interesting. Keep in touch via Meetup and LinkedIn. And yeah, Marie, Menno, and Ruud, thank you very much for everything.
Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
this invitation.
Yeah, thank you, Thijs.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.